Hello and welcome this afternoon to Riverside Crafts. I'm Ray and we're going to be looking at one of the Christmas designs I did with the bauble die from Riverside Crafts. So here are the baubles, is the bauble dies, and we've got flower dies here, leaf dies, and then a Merry Christmas die. I think, if I remember rightly, these are being done as part of a offer at the moment. So I'm just going to move them away now to show you what I've done with them, and then how I made them, what I did. So I'll just move those over to one side for me. Right, here's my first card that I made using this. So that was quite cool. I enjoyed doing that one. And this one. So, and I'm just going to show you how they stand up. So stand up nicely. Don't have them going, they're not rocking everywhere. And then a more vintage looking one with this one here. Okay. I'm going to show you how I made the card shape and how I make my flowers today. So I'm going to put these to one side. Okay. And then we'll start right away. So my card base, the first one I'm going to do is this one, and this is it's been embossed, and I've used the embossing folder from Creative Expressions. This one was called Poinsettia, and I really liked the pattern it had on it. But I'm going to show you how I make my two baubles into my card. So first thing I need is my trusty scoreboard. I'm going to lay my bauble that's plain up against it to make sure that it's as straight as possible. So I use this bit here as my guide because that's more or less flat, so I just make sure that's going in with it. And then I'm going to come down here about a centimetre and put a line in, just because it gives me enough there to glue together. And at the bottom I'm also going to put a score line at half a centimetre. Okay, so the first one is a centimetre coming down and then a centimetre going up. All right, so with my scissors I'm just going to trim this one off because this is what will help my card stand up straight when I'm finished. So that bit comes off. I'm going to use some glue. This glue is my favourite at the moment. It's by Pinflair, and it has this really nice fine tip on it, which makes life very easy, and you don't sort of over glue, because when it comes to glue, less is more. So here we go. So I'm just going to stick that there, and there's my card blank. Okay, so that's my nice little card blank. It will sit flat because I've got that on the back there, which works nicely to keep it nice and flat when it's on the surface. So just make sure that's holding properly with my glue. And I'll just say hello to the people who are watching. There's hi Joanne and hi Sarah. It's nice to see people there. I can just about turn my head upside down and read what it says. So I'm getting a bit more used to what I'm doing. Right, flowers. Now, for the card that I've done at the shop, there are 2 or 3 different sort of styles of flowers I've done. So I've done these little ones here and some like this, and I'm going to show you how I made both sets so that you've got an idea of what I'm going to do. And for my flower making, the tools I use, this is a poker tool that I've got. I don't know how, I've had it a long time. It's one of those things that's been hanging around in my craft set and I use it a lot. So, and I'm just going to score along the petals from the centre going right the way to the tip. Now I do it going from the centre out because I'm going to get a better straight line. If I try and go from the tip of the petal to the centre, I tend to get a bit of a wobbly line. So this way I tend to get a slightly better line. And I'm going to do that on 3 sizes of petals. So I've got the smallest, the next one, and the next one up. So I'm not touching the largest one for this flower. I'm actually just staying with the smaller ones out the pack, so it gives me a bit more. And I've cut them all out of pearlescent cardstock. It's about 250 GSM, and they cut no problem. I cut them both in my Gemini and in my little tiny small hand one, so it's not a problem because the dies fit nicely onto the little plates, so I don't have to use a great big one all the time, which is quite nice. So there's my 3 flowers already done, and what I'm going to do is nip these edges up, and because I've already scored it, they actually fold quite nicely and I'm not having to argue with the cardstock, so they're sort of pre-scored, if that makes sense. I'm just going to nip them up. I like pearlescent cardstock at Christmas because it's just nice and warm. It's just got that gentle sheen. It's not in your face, but it's just a little bit of a nod to, yes, it's Christmas. Okay, so I've got all 3. I'm going to use my glue again, and I put a little bit of glue into the middle of the largest, and I'm going to put the next one on top. And when I put it on top, if you notice, I'm turning it slightly so that the petals are all offset. Okay, I'll do my next one again. I'm going to put it in again so that the petals are offset with the one that's just gone on previously. So I'm just going to turn them slightly to where I'm happy with them. Get my fingers in the way. This is my latest problem. I've got hands that are too big to play with little things. There we go. And I'm just going, as you can see, I'm pushing down with the end of my tool to make them thing. Now I'm using some gems today. All the gems I'm using are from Riverside. I only buy either plain white or silver gems. I don't look for ones that are all different colours because I just colour them in if I want a different colour, and I'll show you how I do that in a little while. Okay, so that's another one of those ones, and then we're just going to do this style, which is slightly different. So I'm going to get the 3 different ones off. Okay, and for this one I need a ball tool. Again, it doesn't matter where you've got your ball tool from or however gone. I've turned them upside down, and when I say I've turned them upside down, when you die cut, one side becomes nice and smooth and the other side is it's got you can see the cut more crisper, so you want to be on the side where you can see the obvious sort of like cut. Okay, hi Sandra and Meg and Anne, and I think that says Catherine. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you had a nice weekend. And the weather's been quite good today, so we've been quite good. And as you can see, I'm just going round and round in each petal piece at the moment. Okay, just sort of generally giving them a sort of a domed effect. And I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to push down into the middle, so that will make them all sort of stand up a bit. I'm going to repeat again with the next size down. Okay, and I'm just going around the petals and just turning it and giving it a bit of a doming it. Turn it over again, and I'm going to push down. Okay, so that's that one. This, by the way, is just some flower folding moulding foam that you can get. We have it in stock normally. It's nothing particularly fancy, but I have to say a little bit of a foam block makes a huge difference when you're trying to do this sort of thing. So it does work. It does help. Okay, as you can see, I'm just going round and round, and the tighter I get to the middle, you see how it all closes up on itself. This time around, I'm not going to turn this one over. I'm going to leave it where it is. A little bit of glue in the middle. Again, offset the petals. Just going to push down so that I've got a little bit of pressure there to hold that, like so. Another bit of glue in the middle. And we put this one is going into the middle as it is, so that's going to go in and sit that way round. Okay, so that's that one. So I'm just going to put some gems on these ones quickly so that they're ready to go, and then I'll show you how I built my card up and bits. Okay, so that's got those in the middle. So I've got a good selection of flower bits done. I'm just going to put the lid on my glue so it doesn't dry out. Right, now I cut my leaves previously so that they're ready. And I've also cut myself a Merry Christmas. Again, this is from the Riverside Crafts dies, and it cuts beautifully. I have to say, I really like this one. It cuts really nicely. But I'm going to have it slightly offset, so it comes slightly over onto my off the card, because I've got enough space to do that. So I'm going to sort that out. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on. I'm going to put it in place now so that I know where to put my flowers, so that I don't end up covering up where I want to be able to put my letter, my word. Okay, so that can go on now. Get it straight as much as possible. So let's hit that as straight as we can and come off there just a bit. Right, so that's that bit. Just give that a bit of a press so it holds on. Okay, good, done. Did I put glue under that bit? No, I didn't. So I'm pressing down and there's no glue, so that's not going to work, is it? Right, I'm going to arrange my flowers and have a look to see where I want them. Try and get myself an idea of what I'm looking for as I go up. How many flowers I want on it. Do I want them all in the same space? Do I want to come down with them? I either go with 3 or 5. I try and stay with an odd number because it actually is more visually pleasing. Now I've got my leaves I cut in pearlescent card again. Some are the same colour as the card I've used on the back. Some are white and some are slightly darker. But they're all from the Riverside Crafts. We've got 2 different sorts of leaves, so there is another leaf set which I do use as well, but this is the one I've done for this particular card. So I'm going to start off by placing where I want my flowers. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to start putting my flowers in place. Okay, so here we go, putting my flowers around it. I think the gem might need a bit of glue underneath it by the look of it. Let's put there's some glue underneath that so it holds it a bit better. Problem is I don't use gems very often, so my gems tend to dry out after a while because I will have kept them from one year to the next and back again. Okay, so that's my flowers on. Now I'm going to put my greenery in to make it feel more sort of like it should be. And I'm going to sort of start by sort of just gently putting some bits where I think I might want them. I'm not going to glue them at the moment. I'm just arranging them around what I'm doing to give me a sense of, is that where I want it? Do I like it there? Is it going to do what I want? Is it the right leaf? Is it aiming in the right directions? Because they if you look at some of them, they're angled. If I get the ones out that I was just using, so they are angled in a direction when you're looking at them. So you don't want to be putting them on to go in the wrong direction, because it won't flow. So you're trying to keep them to where it is you're looking for them to be. Too big. And don't feel worried about breaking them up. So if you want a little bit somewhere and not quite so much, there's nothing wrong with actually just sort of pulling them apart a little bit so you've got some bits elsewhere. So that's those ones in. Put a couple of white ones on it, I think. Maybe a bit up there. There's shadow. One coming down there would be quite nice. And I'm going to use my darker green as well because I've got some here. And I'm going to put it in sort of hit and miss as I go around. Right. When I think I'm happy with where I've sort of positioned my leaves, I'm going to start gluing them in place. And I literally just use a little bit of glue on the back and then just push it where I want it to go. I don't normally have a problem with them falling out. The glue normally pretty much sorts it out for me. But because it's got the nice fine nib on it, you can actually sort of be quite definite with where you're positioning them. get the finish you're looking for. This card looks nice done in all white as well, so it's all the same, or mint or whatever colour you want to do it in a monochrome sort of thing. And white on white always looks really really classy for Christmas, so that's quite a nice way of doing it. Right, so there we go. Let's move my leaves out the way for a minute. Got one there I haven't glued. That's one of the benefits of picking it up. It helps you to know what you haven't done. Put the glue back on. There we go. Put it in place. Right. There we go. My finished Christmas card. Nice and simple. Very flowery. So it's quite easy to do. And it's easy. So that one's quite nice. So I'll put that one there. And I'm going to do this one now, because I think it's quite nice to do something that's very different as a distressed one, rather than just all the same. Right, craft card. Do exactly the same again to find my to make my cards up again. So I'm lining it up, getting it straight as I can. I'm coming down 1 centimetre from sort of here, or 1.5 centimetres. And I'm just going to take half a centimetre score lines to cut it off the bottom. So that's that bit done. I'm just going to trim the bit off the bottom again. Now I put the glue on the side where I've scored it, only because then I know where I've got my glue to go. Because if I put it on the other one, I can't see it, and I'm going to get it in the wrong place. Okay. So card blank created. Yep, that's standing nicely, so that's that one done. Right, now on this one I've actually inked round the edge, so I'll just do that. Just to give it a little bit more of a distressed look. And I've also gone round with a black fine liner, putting on a fake stitch. So I'm just going to do the fake stitch around the edge. So that you can see, if I put that there, you'll be able to see what it is we're making. Okay, so we're just poddling around. Don't worry if your lines and dots and dashes aren't as nice and neat and tidy, or there isn't a line. Mine never are. They're all over the place. But it lends to the character of what you're making, which is always good. Okay, now I'm just going to distress the edge of my card. Can you see how I've got it sort of all a bit tatty? So I'm just going to do that, and I do that with a pair of scissors. I open them up and I literally I'm going to drag them around the edge of my cardstock so it chafes it up. Now Caroline always tells me they do a tool for this, and yes they do, and it is probably safer, and I've got 2 of them, but I can never find them when I want them. They're probably in the bottom of my craft bag, which is at the moment in a cupboard, because I haven't really been going very far to do a lot of crafting. So that's not really been much help to me, has it? Right, I'm going to darken the edges of my so make it look more thing. I'm going to be using Ground Espresso, and I'm using a blending brush, but you could easily use your blending tool, so whichever you've got, it is fine. Put it on my blending mat so you don't use as much ink, and I'm just going to take it round the edges and just keep moving it round and taking it as I go. Okay, so that's gone all the way around my edge quite nicely. Okay, and again I've made some of my flowers up, but I'm going to show you exactly what I did to make them again, so that they're there for you to see. These ones are going to be, they're slightly bigger, but just to show that you can make them up nice and dainty as well. You don't have to go for the big ones, but I thought it'd be nice to show how I did the big ones as well, so that you get to use all of them for Christmas. It's exactly the same technique as we were doing earlier with the white ones, except of cutting them all in red or white, I've cut two the same size, one red, one green, and then one the next size down in red, which is exactly what I did here with the smaller one, but it's just the fact that it's the smaller elements of the dies. So again, go from the centre out to the point on the petal, using your poker tool if you want, and it's just to line it up. An old biro that hasn't got any ink left in it works really well as well, so you know, depending on what you have hanging around. If your bone folder's got a nice sharp edge on it, you can use that. Okay, now to make mine more vintage, I've just sanded them, just because it will give me a little bit more of a tatty feel. This is Coordinations cardstock, but any cardstock will sort of slightly give you a different feel for it if you sand it slightly, especially if it's a sort of a linen finish. You'll get a taint. Or alternatively, you can just go over them with a little bit of distress ink that way around to give it a more vintage look. So depending on what you have available to you, either way will work quite nicely. One of the things that's quite good is on the green to actually go around it with a red ink. It sort of brings it more into that sort of poinsettia type feel as the bracts are changing colour. If, when you're sanding them and you lose a petal, don't panic. You can glue it back in place. I'm forever losing them. I tear them all the time. So don't worry about that one. Okay, so move a bit of foam back so I've got something to make them up onto. Again, I'm just going to pinch them as I go round. Because I've put the score line in, they sort of pinch up nice and easy for me. Okay. gem. Now, as I've said, I only buy white or silver gems, but as you can probably tell, this is yellow in the middle. That's because I use an alcohol marker to colour them. I find that I've got more options then. So if I just bring that up so you can see what that one has been, and that's how they are. And I'm just going to colour this one to match in. So I'm just going to use an alcohol marker to colour it in, to tone it in. Okay, for the colour that I want. All right, managed to get a few bits of water on it. So here's my 3 large poinsettias that I've got. I'm going to paste them on there. I'm just going to check with my Merry Christmas that I've got room for it all, and I have. So I'm going to glue these in. Okay, so nearly there. And while I was prepping, I knew I'd got some raffia, but could I find it? No, but I found it ready now. So I'm just going to make myself a bow. I don't know if you've done this technique for bows. You do bunny ears, and then you can tie them together, and then you've got a lot of control over the size of the bow that you make. So you just tie them up, and then you can put it in and play with it to make the bow the size you want. I'm just using some raffia because I thought it would look nice with this vintage card to do it. Okay, trim off the excess. Okay, and I'm just going to put that at the top there with a bit of glue. I'm going to trim that down a bit because it's a little bit long. Okay. And there you go, another finished card that stands up beautifully, so no problem. So different ideas to do with the same dies, but a totally different feel and a look to what you were doing. Different ways of making your flowers look, using your leaves a bit. So there we go. And also just to, here they are as well, and I've sat them on a leaf this time. So that just gives you a different feel. It's quite nice to make up your flowers and have all, you can sit in front of the TV making these flowers and have them all ready to just quickly just do your cards, and that it makes life a lot easier. I hope you've enjoyed this, and it was in bits and it's done something different, and I'll catch up with you next week. I think, if I remember rightly, I'm doing boxes next week, so I'll be looking at how I decorate little boxes ready for Christmas, but thinking about recycling as well, because obviously we're starting to think about that more often, and a lot of wrapping paper isn't recyclable. So I was looking at how we can decorate boxes we've got hanging around, and make those pretty to be able to be used again multiple times. So join me next week, and thank you very much. Bye all of you, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget you can always watch it on playback. Thank you.